Hi everybody, and happy Wednesday, January the 8th. My name is Sam White. I'm the founder and artistic director of Shakespeare in Detroit. Thank you for tuning into our YouTube page. Some people actually call me the executive director too. I do a lot of things at the company, so you can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for a curtain call. Bad theater joke. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to this Wednesday's upload. When I first started Shakespeare in Detroit with our amazing company of actors and our wonderful production manager and costume designer Cal, 8 seasons ago, I used to always upload these videos on YouTube, and then it just stopped, probably because we got really busy. But I kind of I regret not staying up to date with these things, because it was these videos, it was a great way for us to connect in an informal way. So not at a show, not even at a reading, which are pretty informal, but to just really connect and be able to talk to you all in a really convenient way. You can tune in on your phone or on your laptop at home, just in a room with just you and I. And so we're back with these uploads, and we're going to try to be as consistent as possible. So I'm going to either upload every week on a Wednesday in the afternoon or bi-weekly, but make sure you subscribe so you can get an alert whenever Shakespeare in Detroit uploads anything to our YouTube page, which is just at Shakespeare in Detroit. If you go to YouTube and you search us Shakespeare in Detroit, you can look for our page that way. But yeah, we want to be more consistent, and not just me talking to you via these videos or in this format or this template. We're also going to have a lot of behind the scenes content coming your way. We hope to. Last year we introduced a new series on YouTube called How To, and the last video was how to wear a corset. We hope to have some more content in that vein coming your way, as well as a new series called 7 Days With, where you get to spend 7 days with a member of our team. And we're going to start with our awesome production assistant, who is called Chance. So yeah, she'll have an awesome video coming your way soon, so stay tuned for that. But I wanted to take today's video and take this opportunity to talk about, what is a producer? What is a theater producer? I'm a director, and we can talk about that later, but I wanted to start with producing, because that's where the productions start for us, producing the work. And when we say theater producer, producer can mean a lot of things. At a larger theater, a producer helps plan the season, could help with casting and contracts and things like that, and they don't necessarily do any sort of fundraising. At a smaller theater company like Shakespeare in Detroit, or a younger theater company like Shakespeare in Detroit, I do both. So I do fundraising to raise enough money for our productions and our programs and things like that. But I also do the hiring. Unfortunately, hopefully this doesn't happen a lot, but the firing, I create the contracts, I vet and seek out the right directors. Sometimes I get it right. Most times I get it right. Sometimes I get it wrong. And I also pick the shows for the season, the shows that we'll be producing throughout the season, and sometimes the look and the feel of the shows. It all depends, but that's what I do. And for me, the very first step is to budget the show. And it used to be the other way around. When we first started, I would just go around, frankly, begging for money from corporate sponsors, because we wanted to be pretty independent of grants. We started in 2012 with performances in children's hospitals for children who were receiving fusion treatment or chemotherapy, which I just paid for out of pocket. But in 2013, when we became a larger entity and we started actually performing for the public, it was 4 weeks after the city filed for bankruptcy. And so our thinking was, it was responsible for us to think of other ways, other avenues to create productions, or to have enough money, frankly, to create productions. And that, because the government and the city and foundations were having a bit of a challenge with the city filing for bankruptcy, we leaned into corporate sponsorships and individual donations. So yeah, in the beginning, I used to just see how much money I could gather and put into the coffers to produce a show. But now we try to streamline the process and do it a little bit more elegantly and responsibly by creating the budget first. And it also helps us artistically, because we go, okay, here's everything we need Now let's try to raise money for everything that we need without having to make any concessions or sacrifice the quality of the work because we don't have enough money, if that makes sense. So it starts with me writing the budget. After I write the budget, I'll usually share it with the board. And if they have feedback, I'll take that into consideration. If they don't, I move forward. And at that point, when I've budgeted everything, I've picked the shows. The board doesn't pick the shows, I pick the shows, but I do let them know about it in advance. Then again, we have the budget, which I create, and then I share with the team at large, and I go, okay, this is what we're aiming for. And then I start raising money based on our needs. And then if we meet our goal, great, we get everything that we need. And if we don't, and unfortunately, there have been a lot of times where we haven't, we'll start scaling back, which is always bad. You know, it's the equivalent of a car company saying, hey, we want to make this beautiful, amazing luxury car, but we don't have enough resources to do it, so we won't have wheels this time around. You know, how terrible is that if you don't have enough budget for wheels? So we really try to meet our mark, and from this point onward, you know, for 2020, one of our goals is to always meet our mark to make sure that we have everything that we need, because we know that Michiganians or Michiganders, depending on what you call us, love their Shakespeare. The question is, do you stay home and support your Shakespeare, or do you travel somewhere else and support another country or another city's Shakespeare before you support home? And of course, there's nothing wrong with doing that. You know, one of my favorite things to do is to travel and see other performances in other countries or in other cities and to see what they're doing. And really, I'm inspired by that. But I would just say, and we've been sending out a few educational emails too, just about the fact that Detroit does not have a LORT theater, which is the League of Resident Theaters, which is the largest network of professional theaters in the country. We're not recognized by that network. And so I would just encourage anyone who's watching this video to, if you live in Metro Detroit, if you live in Southeast Michigan, if you live in Michigan, to come see a Shakespeare in Detroit production and donate, please, please, please. And then hit the road and support another theater company or support another city or another country. But we love for you to start your theatrical support, your art support here at home in Detroit. So yes, in our budget, we can meet our budget lines if we get our neighbors, our friends, our fellow Michiganians or Michiganders to support our work. We would love that because we want to be the next great classical entity here in the city, just like the DSO, just like the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, just like Michigan Opera Theater at the Detroit Opera House. We want to be a part of that landscape. So help us, please, by giving a tax-deductible donation. You can go to shakespeareindetroit.com and do that. And that way we can meet our budget line. So yes, everything starts with the budget line. Then I talk to the production manager, Cal, about what I'm thinking about for the season. I start raising the money and asking our corporate friends. We apply for a couple of grants here and there now when we have the time and the bandwidth, because grants are time consuming and you can apply, but you may not get the support, or you may only get a fourth of what you asked for. So grants are risky. So we usually lean into still corporate sponsorships and individual donations. We raise as much money as we can, and then we go into rehearsals. We figure out a good audition date. We work with the director if the director isn't me, and after I've hired a director and figure out what's the best day for auditions, we host auditions. We take the folks who showed up into account, and we begin casting the show. After we've cast all of the roles, it might be a month or two later, we go into rehearsals. We rehearse the show for 4 to 6 weeks, usually anywhere from 5 to 8 hours a day rehearsals, with maybe 1 or 2 days off a week. After that 4 to 6 week rehearsal period, we have tech rehearsals, which is where we add all the elements of a production that you see: the lights, the sound, the costumes, the props, the set. By the way, P.S., the props have to be made sometimes, the sets have to be built sometimes, the costumes usually have to be built or bought. So there's a lot of things that happen when you're producing a show. So if you want to think of a producer in a more kind of corporate sense, think of project manager. someone who manages a project to make sure that all the pieces stick together. So in the end, you have a final product. You have an amazing product that hopefully meets your mission, your values, and the quality or standards that you have in mind for what you're delivering to your patrons or your audience or your customers. In our case, we call those folks our friends. So yeah, I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of a peek into what it is that a theater producer does. And over the next few weeks, we'll keep sharing information about behind the scenes activities at Shakespeare in Detroit, what it really takes to build a theater company of the caliber that we're aiming for. And so stay tuned, more to come, more informational videos, more behind the scenes action, more everything, more how-to videos, more time with and getting to know our company members and our team. Yeah, there's a lot underway in 2020. We're so happy that you're here. If you're here, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, please do that at shakespeareindetroit.com. If you want to become a Patreon member and get perks like discounts and gifts and all sorts of fun Shakespeare in Detroit swag, please go to our website and click on Become a Patron right at the top of the website. Okay, more to come, friends. So happy you're here. It's 2020. Can you believe it? I'll talk to you all next week. And thanks and ever thanks. Bye-bye.